Okay, so it's being published by Bandai. It's being created by Rebel Wolves. If I understand it, this is a group of devs who previously worked on CDPR for a few years, or at least some of them. So sometimes, I don't know how many of the devs, I don't know how it is, but I just know that this studio was formed by a few of the devs that left CDPR before, and they formed this because they wanted to make their own thing. It could be that it's 3 of them. I don't know. There's 3 rows here. Who knows? Is the quality being kind of wonky? It's just kind of like this. The video's like this, I don't know why. Okay. Is that... What is it carrying?
It's all right.
Wait, is this guy kidnapping the girl? Sister? Oh no.
You gave us quite the chase, young.
Please, sir. She's just a child.
Ah, Roderick, remind me, did I make an exception for children?
No, sire.
No. That would have been foolish, would it not? They spread the plague just as well as adults. And there's only one way to stamp out this sickness.
No!
Not just a runner, but a fighter, too. Had we met under a different moon, things might have ended there.
Oh, okay. He punched! She just made their blood boil and explode from inside. That's sick!
Lunka!
He sucks. This guy sucks. Reminds me of Asterion. Asterion also sucks a lot.
My sister. She needs help. Fast. Please, let us pass through. I beg of you. Please. Please. I don't know. How?
I am life. I am death. I am everything in between. I have been watching your little valley. Pestilence, famine, killing. Blood spilled carelessly, like water. Things will be different now. For all of you.
He's sweating. Yeah, this game is made... The only thing that I know about this game is that it was made by a group of devs that worked at CDPR before. Nice.
So the game takes place 2 years after the events shown in the intro, and this is just the beginning of a greater saga we were planning. So we get to meet the character at the beginning of his adventure, which I think is really cool. And Cohen in general is so much fun to write and flesh out because he's not your typical game protagonist. He's not a grizzled veteran who's seen it all, who is cynical about the world, who comments the world with like one-liners. He's a young guy who, at heart, is emotional. He can get vulnerable. He's honest about how he feels.
What I love in Cohen is that he'll be never a superhero. He'll be never overpowered. At the day, as a human, he can fight with a sword. He can use and discover dark magic.
A man with a sword.
But he can be killed by anyone. At the night, he encountered a lot more difficult enemies. He can use some vampiric abilities, not only in combat,
he's a vampire.
but also he can use it to explore the world and to see the world in a totally different way.
Nice.
Yeah, and he'll need all these cool superpowers because he's facing formidable enemies. This clique of vampires who decided to take over the world, turn it upside down, and set the rules. And they are led by this super old and immensely powerful vampire called Brensis. Our game is set in 14th century Europe, and it's a world in deep crisis. First, the continent has been ravaged by the plague, then wars, and now famine. And all the while, vampires have been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And finally, when humanity is at its lowest, they come out of the shadows, they overthrow the feudal lords, and they move into their castles.
And they go like a... And they suck your blood. Yeah, this sounds really fun, right?
Vampires ruling the world is not necessarily the bad thing. Feudal lords in that time killed the whole villages to prevent, the plague. And the vampires, they defend Cohen and his sister. They even healed Lunka. And, I know that people need to pay taxes in blood.
In
but
blood?
it's not a huge cost of safe and good life.
Well, to that I'd say that vampires' favors are uncertain.
What the fuck?
And sure, they protect the people of the valley where the game takes place, but they see them as cattle, so they protect them to then lead them and ultimately kill them. And the blood tax you mentioned, it's taken from everyone, the frail, the weak, the old. Each week they have to convene at the church for a blood mass. So for some people, that's deeply traumatizing or might even end up in them dying.
I wonder if women can just
So in the end,
donate
I'd say
their
the
used
balance is more or
tampons and
less
pads.
equal. And that's something that I actually
Right?
really like about our setting, this world, that nothing is simple. Nothing is just black or just white.
They should be able
And
to.
you have to decide for yourself, like, what do I think is the right choice? What is the path I want to take? And what is the path I want to avoid? And ultimately, Cohen's family ends up in the dungeons of the Vampire Lord. And even as Cohen is trying to free them, he will meet people who still support the regime.
It's even more challenging for players because Cohen has only 30 days and 30 nights to save his family.
Why?
In those games, sandbox means gameplay freedom. In our, it means narrative freedom.
Oh?
We don't think about the quest like the main quest or the side quest. We just have quests. Players will craft their experience through the game by themselves, and nobody will have the same. And we call it native sandbox.
Yeah, that's something that really excites me because that means that no two playthroughs will be identical.
I really like
each
this.
player will have a unique experience. And that's the true magic of video games, and that's why I love making them.
Is nostalgia good for you guys?
Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you agree that that was worth the wait. Now, the best news is that we are just getting started tonight. And first things first, Dominika, that trailer.
I know, right? And for our Polish community out there, good news, we will be dropping the Polish version of the trailer with Polish dubbing on our social media channels right after the stream, so keep an eye on them.
I think a lot of people are going to want to rewatch that trailer, so I bet that they're really, really happy. But we've got a lot to unpack here, right? So you mentioned before that the trailer actually serves as the intro to the game.
Yeah.
So everything that we all just saw, that happens before the game starts?
Yeah, so the cinematic that takes place 2 years before the events from the game. So 2 years before Cohen, our main protagonist, becomes a Dawnwalker. Okay. So you can see that in the CGI, he's still very young, he's very, inexperienced. You see that innocence in him, right? But that will need to change. The world is going to change drastically for him. He will need to grow up, he'll need to mature a bit. So you will see that in the other game assets, he looks a bit differently.
I did wonder why he looked so much younger. Clearly, Cohen has had a rough couple of years. I can't wait to work out what happened in
They are
between.
announcing the game now. Gameplay comes later. Calm your tits. Gamers like it have their tits like all over the place.
In the video we just saw,
you don't even know the name of the game.
So does that mean she wasn't turned into a vampire then?
No, no. Lunka was indeed healed from the plague, the Black Death, by Brancis, this old vampire, leader of the vampire clique. And turning humans into vampires works a bit differently in our game. But we actually have another duo of devs who are going to talk about it in a moment.
Okay, well then I won't steal their thunder. I'll let them explain it. But I guess what I should ask is, who or what is a Dawnwalker then?
That is such a loaded question. So many layers to it, honestly. Okay, but so the basic premise is like this.
Dawnwalker
look
is
like
the name of the
humans
game.
During the day, but they turn into vampires after dusk.
Oh, it's like
they're
werewolves.
not actually humans,
but not
they're
really.
not actually vampires. They are something in between.
Okay,
Oh.
very mysterious. I
So
love
only
it.
at night
Now,
you are like
Dawnwalker itself,
you're a sucker.
It's a brand new IP, right?
Yeah, it is. It is completely original, and I think this is what actually makes this project really special for us, because it's a handcrafted universe, of course, rooted in real history, inspired by some myths and legends, but essentially built by our team from the ground up.
From a gamer perspective, again, knowing that you guys have full control, that you've got a vision for how this is going to be, and that you can actually implement that, it's just so exciting.
It's so exciting for us as well.
Yeah,
you know?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, I could talk about this all day, but we should move on and talk about the art of Dawnwalker, the world and its inhabitants, which includes vampires.
Yes, and
Suckers.
we will meet with our art director, Bartłomiej Gaweł, and our environment artist, Adam Payet.
And we're also going to hear more about the characters and narrative design as well, right?
Yes, and for that we will meet with our writer, Ariana Sierkiewicz, and our creative
We'll go back
director,
to
Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz.
Zombie Land
Take
soon.
it away, guys.
Yeah, we'll go back to Zombie
Man,
Land.
look at this place. That would be perfect for the writing team.
Not just for them. I love storytelling myself. Since I can remember, telling stories through images is what I love to do.
Yeah.
So when I received the first script for the Dawnwalker, I fell in love with it right away.
I think for me, what got me was the concept art when I first saw those Carpathian villages hugging the mountain slopes, the valleys, forests, and then also the muddy streets of Svartrau and the long shadow of the cathedral. It all
You guys saw
felt
the
very
cock?
authentic, muddy, and also very familiar, homely, and, well, Eastern European.
Not just Eastern Europe.
No, yeah.
It's a mix of predominantly Romanian motifs with broader influences of Balkan cultures. It gave us a freedom of creation. It's a vast range of inspiration from Polish log houses to Ukrainian or Balkan clothing to Romanian defensive churches.
That variety and that broad spectrum was also interesting to get because I never thought as an environment artist I would have to learn in Romanian how to Google specific museums just to get the reference.
On the other hand, we also set a boundary for ourselves, and that boundary is a time period of inspiration ranging from the 13th to 15th century. And this is meant to ensure the visual consistency of the world.
Yeah, and that is also quite a challenge to make sure that what you create is authentic, grounded, and has a real sense of place. But at the same time, isn't just a picture and invites exploration and promotes that gameplay.
I wanted to see how far we could push realism so that players truly feel part of the narrative. But this is not a simulation of medieval life.
Not at all.
So this game is made
Realism
by
can be boring.
a
We wanted to
new
create
dev
something
team,
exciting.
and it's called
And that's where the
Dawnwalker.
magic comes in.
Yes, the magic.
And they're
Our
just
magic isn't filled with
showcase the game for the first
fireballs
time
or
now.
flashy lights.
For those of you who are lost.
Yeah, it's probably
We'll
even
go
more
back to the
interesting
game
to get
soon.
right than the realism part of it, because when a quest brief comes through and the magic is manifest by, I don't know, birds flying in the sky in a strange formation or the northern lights not being in the north, it really makes you rethink the whole location and how it should come together to marry those two aspects.
Our magic is also serious and it's closer to paranormal phenomena than to traditional spellcasting. It's like the X-Files set in the Middle Ages, all deeply rooted in the history of the Dawnwalker world.
Yeah, and I think it's the weather and the lighting system that do majority of the heavy lifting to take a location and really push it one notch above realism to give it a slightly off feeling. I think my favorite location for that is the cathedral. During the daytime, it's that
That's so
monument
pretty.
to Gothic architecture with
Look at
people
that.
bustling around. And then as soon as the sun starts setting in and the streets clear, the fog starts setting in, and it becomes a completely transformed, different area, very spooky, almost liminal, cemetery-like space.
And that was also a very early and conscious choice on our part. We wanted the world to be a different place after the sun sets.
Just remember that there's a lot of people on the internet who say things without knowing what they're saying.
Right, so
Just remember that. So take information from chat with a grain of
I
salt.
understand the creative process behind it, but I've never touched anything to do with character art, which is your speciality. So would you mind walking me through what was your creative process in coming up with that whole thing?
Sure. So we approached the work on vampires very seriously. It's a whole new universe. What's even better is that it's a mix of familiar elements with a fresh twist. We all know that vampires are well-defined in pop culture and have been around for a long time, so we wanted to create something fresh. So what primarily sets them apart is their teeth. Our vampire teeth keep growing throughout their lives. The older the vampire, the more teeth they have. So instead of two sharp teeth, they have a series of needle-like fangs, densely growing from their jaws, often emerging from different parts of their skull as they age. The teeth keep growing because the vampire can use them to create another vampire.
Would
And the
you
mechanism is very simple.
would you
The vampire
accept
pulls
a
out his
blowjob
fang
from-
and drives it into the heart of its victim.
Lovely.
So what's interesting is that
Smash
our
it!
vampire's teeth aren't visible at first. They can extend as the mouth opens, and it looks really creepy.
Yeah, I still remember the first time that the animations came through from the character art team, showing the mouth opening and the teeth growing, and it was absolutely disgusting. I loved every bit of it.
We're watching the announcement of Dawnbreaker.
So Cohen's Algeria, the silver
game from a
poisoning
new
he
studio.
got when he was working in the mines, is both a blessing and a curse. Because on one hand, it weakens him. On the other hand, it protects him from becoming a vampire fully. So, you know, he gets to traverse both worlds, both the world of humanity and the world of the creatures of the night.
Yeah, well, he was kind of used to dealing with the vampires since it's been like a couple years since Francis took over. Now he has to find a way to deal with things like undead lurking in ancient tombs that should have remained closed, kobolds that used to only prey on miners going way too deep into the mines, or even Uriashes, who used to live high up in the mountains, secluded, and now they are in Francis's troops.
Yeah, and they are vastly different.
Oh yeah, they all have their own separate cultures, and well, if you want to deal with them,
That's
I
real
would
life,
kinda
Chris.
like to get to
I'm pretty sure
get to know
this
them a
is
bit, or
real
else I might
life.
get
I
tricked,
could be
because
wrong. I don't
they
go
all have their
outside
own
much.
goals, aspirations now that they came out of the shadows in Francis's wake.
It's a source of a lot of tension, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of tension. Some of them can cooperate with humans, but mostly it's just new issues, new problems nobody had to deal with before.
But I think this is great because all of that tension, all of these problems are great storytelling material for us, for
Yes.
building all of that content. For example, Francis, he had to normalize this thing for the humanity, convince everyone this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And the way he did this was, first of all, you know, there was a lot of social turmoil. And on the other hand, a lot of deeply held religious beliefs. And he twisted them. He turned himself into this messianic figure. So, for example, he introduced these blood masses where he
Blood masses?
a human vampire blood, right? And at the same time, they have these other things like punishing criminals with like draining them dry.
Yeah, but well, you know, some people actually liked it because once Francis came in, he set up a new order of things.
You
he
like
finally
to get
got
your
down to
blood
business,
sucked?
and then he locked the valley off so that nobody can touch it. No outside outside influence can touch it. And well, some others did not like it so much, and they began to reach into the depths of forgotten magic, occult, stuff like that.
Yeah, so either way you look at it, the Veil Sangora will never be the same again.
Not a chance. That is a lot of world building, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many things we need to remember to make this into a cohesive whole. And at the same time, you have the challenges posed by the open world itself. Because, you know, there's a risk of the content being formulaic or repetitive. We handcraft all of it, and we focus on telling these unique themes we really care about.
Oh yeah, we want to talk about loss, about the meaning of family, about opposing tyranny, about trying to coexist with creatures you've never had to coexist with before.
Well, but that would be difficult to do with just Cohen and Brensis, right?
Impossible, actually. We had to create a whole host of characters, and we really wanted to avoid having cardboard cutouts, like without motivations, without backgrounds, goals, and ambitions. But, you know, when you meet those characters, your goals and ambitions may overlap, and you befriend them.
This is Caden.
Or it may be the opposite.
He's not going to be in the game.
But, you know, given the goal that you have ahead of you, it might be good to have some friends to go along with.
Well, but you could go on your own, right? If you wanted.
Well, yeah, you could just grab a sword and go storm the castle.
Yeah.
But, you know, it might be wise to, for instance, find the rebel cell and try to dismantle Brensis' rule with them. Or, I don't know, listen to what an agent from outside of Veil Sangora has to say.
Which is exactly why I love how we structured the game, because we offer a lot of choice in which characters do you want to interact with, which you might want to skip altogether. And also on top of that, you have this layer of non-linearities where you can decide their fates, but also the fate of Cohen and his family.
Yeah, and I really like that because it gives us so much replayability. You can always choose a different path. There's something else waiting there for you.
Yeah,
exactly. I really like
and
that.
Also, on top of that, you know, get to find all these secrets of Veil Sangora and fill all the blanks and, you know, explore the world.
And yet another path might be lurking within that.
Handcrafted content is all good and well, but on top of that, we also have a number of really cool gameplay systems that further feed into the narrative.
Gameplay!
Yeah, and speaking of feeding,
we talked
my
about the
favorite
plot,
one is
now
the
they're
blood
talking about
hunger.
the
It lets me play a real vampire. I don't just have to drink blood to use my cool abilities in combat, but if I talk to someone without feeding first, I might just lose control and I might eat them. And it's not going to be just any random peasant that I won't care about. I can eat my best friend.
Oh.
And I will break my heart, and I will break my quests.
Yeah, so
that's
we better
really
keep
cool.
him well-fed.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a fave?
Yeah, I really enjoy the ones that are revolving around Brensis, because, like, it makes him this active antagonist. You know, this means that he will basically react to what Cohen is doing. He will pass these edicts that will hinder your path. So, for example, he might set up military checkpoints that will be on your way.
It changes the world, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, it's not just him running the show. It's also his 3 powerful vampire allies.
Yeah, when I saw them in CGI, that was such a hype moment. Finally animated, voiced, and just loved it.
Yeah, and on top of being cool characters, they also have their own, like, spheres of influence, and you get to dismantle their organization step by step, making it simpler for you to confront Brensis and free your family.
Well, when it comes to freeing your family, there's one more antagonist, that is time itself, because every time you do something important in the game, when you complete an objective or you complete a quest, time moves forward.
Yeah, but
I
what
like
I really
that.
like about this also is it's not.
I
like
really
real time.
like that.
You actually get to control how much of this resource you want to spend, right?
Yeah, you have to manage it wisely.
I
but
love
if you
that.
just want to enjoy the view or just take a stroll, you can without stress. But once you get down to business, you have to do it smart.
Yeah. So I think all of these things.
It's kind of like
combined,
Pentiment.
handmade
Pentiment has
quests
a
and,
system like
gameplay
this.
systems create for this really fun, unique experience.
Yeah, and you know what? I cannot wait to see what shenanigans players will get up to playing with those systems. I will be there watching it.
Same.
As you can imagine, last 2 years were really intense for us. I want to thank the whole Rebels pack. You are the best, and it's a privilege to work with you. The Blood of Dawnwalker is a very special game for us because it's first truly ours. What you have seen so far is only the beginning. In upcoming months, we will share more with you. But for now, I have one more surprise for you.
Surprise? Asterion? speed dance. This sounds very Witcher. Yeah. When we are done, I'll look for the beginning part that we missed, if you guys don't mind. God, the music is so good. Gosh. So, for the people asking about like a bunch of things, this is a game reveal. So before now, nobody knew this game really existed even. So they're just talking a little bit about the game, what the game is about, a little bit of the lore, showing a little bit of the music, showing a little bit of the idea behind the game. And it's like they say, things will come in time. They're still working on the game. I personally like so this game doesn't have like a main quest and side quests, but every quest you decide to do is going to change how things work in the world and time will progress. I like that because this allows for you to do different things in different playthroughs. Maybe if you take too long to do certain quests, there will be consequences. Maybe if you do some quests before some others, there will be different consequences. So this allows for the realm of possibility of what could happen in the game to be very varied. And I really like that. I really, really love that. Ooh. Is this gameplay? That looked cool. Whoa. That is so pretty. Soon!
And we are back. And wow, do we have a lot to talk about. But first things first, some of those concept arts, I need them as wallpapers like yesterday if you can.
That's okay, I got you covered, no worries.
Well, one of the big things that really, really matters in this game is that time matters. You're only going to have 30 days to make all of your decisions.
13 days?
It is actually 30 days and 30 nights. So as Cohen, your objective is to save
Could
your
you guys hear the wee woo?
But how you do it, when you do it, and if you actually do it at all, it all depends
What
on
the
you
heck?
and your decisions.
Wow. Now, the astute amongst you watching at home will probably just have clicked that is why there was a 30-day and 30-night countdown prior to the stream going live today. Just those little bits of detail, all of the tie-ins, the full wolf moon. I love it. It makes me so excited to see what's coming. But the fact that decisions are going to matter in the game, like I can't do everything, right? It's just not going to be possible. And not just that, it's the start of a whole saga. It's not just this game.
It is an adventure through the ages where you walk the line between our world and its secret dark underbelly. And of course, while you'll get a complete satisfying story in this first installment, there will be so much more to unfold in the future titles.
It just sounds incredible. Honestly, it's a game I can't wait to play myself, and having got to see that sneak peek, even now, it looks so beautiful. It's in Unreal Engine 5, right?
Yes, it is in the Unreal Engine 5 technology. You know, we filled it to the brim with cinematic dialogues and cutscenes.
Like 99% of the
games. We are
games.
talking about the tech stuff. I do want to mention one more thing, which is the third-person perspective. You could already see, and yes, the game will be in the third-person perspective.
First person.
To give you that classic action RPG feel, where you are really dropped into the middle of action.
That's exactly how an RPG should be. And one of the things that I learned here about the game, speaking of classic RPGs, the Blood of Dawnwalker will have no microtransactions. It will have no live service elements. There are going to be no NFTs or any of that stuff. It's just going to be a pure single-player experience. The kind of game that an RPG should be.
That's right, that's right.
Wow. Now, we did promise earlier that we'd keep our eyes on the questions coming in, so I will ask the big one. Dominika, do we have a release date?
Oh, I knew that would happen at some point. Okay. Well, about the release date. We are not quite ready to announce it just yet, but don't worry. Once we are confident about this, we will let you know. And we will definitely.
They said they were working on the game for 2 years. I feel like the release date will come probably in 2 years.
Social media channels. We will be posting a lot in the upcoming months and giving you even more insight into the universe.
I think at least 2 years is
reasonable.
reasonable.
Wait for more Dawnwalker content. Check out the upcoming issue of PC Gamer as well. It's just a few weeks away, and you're going to hear more about the world and the lore of Dawnwalker in there. So make sure that you don't miss it.
Yeah.
But with that, we have reached the end of everything we are here to share with you tonight. It has been an absolute privilege to be a part of this.
Oh, thank you so much, Lionheart. Thank you so much to all of you watching us today. We're so happy that we could finally share all these cool things we have been working on with you. And we will meet again this summer to talk more about the Blood of Dawnwalker, this time focusing on the gameplay features and unveiling how it actually plays. Until then,
thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. Stay safe, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
We zombie? Bye. Okay, so from what I understand that they revealed about this game so far, it's going to be an RPG that has what they call the sandbox narrative. So you have like a bunch of different quests that you can do, and you have like the objective that's to save the guy's family, the guy that was running with the kid, and you can do those quests in many different orders, in many different ways, and depending on the different quests that you decide to do, things will be different. Different things can happen. Personally, I find that to be really cool. However, this is the kind of game that you're not intending to do everything. So for example, whenever you do one quest, the clock will tick. So if you do one quest, your second quest, and you have a total of like 13 days apparently, to wrap up your story. And in 13 days, the different order and the different priorities that you did your quest will have different results in the end of your game. There is no such thing as a main quest and a side quest. You will probably be able to walk around, explore the world as much as you want, but the moment that you decide to complete a quest, that's going to progress your time. I played a game that was more or less like this. That was Pentiment. Pentiment had a similar way. There was kind of like a murder in Pentiment, and you have to find out who is the guilty person. So depending on who you talk with and where you decide to go, you will get information to try to understand who is the murderer and who did what. And depending on your evidence and depending on how the judgment goes, the game can progress and you can accuse different people and different things can happen. I personally find that to be really cool. Allows for a lot of different replayability. The objective of this game and games like this is it's not that you do everything, but you try to prioritize what you consider might be important for your character at a given time. And I really like that. It sounds very, 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 very cool. What do you guys think? Yeah, Dawnwalker, apparently they're like vampires, but they're a little bit different than vampires. They apparently are normal humans during the day, and at dawn they become vampires. So they basically only suck at night. Personally, I find that this is something that I really, it's like in the type of game that I really like. So I'm honestly kind of excited for it. Of course, this is the first information that we got from this game, but the first information that we got, I think it's like, it sounds like cool stuff for me. Of course, only time will tell if the game will be good. We, apparently the next live stream that they do is going to be about gameplay. If you guys want, we can watch together. I have no idea when. Probably they don't either. That's why they didn't give a date. But whenever that happens, yeah, we watch together. Somewhere in summer. So, a few months from now. Yeah. Yeah. We go back to Zomboid? We Zomboid? Yeah? Lexi, thank you so much for the 9 months. Thank you, thank you.
Happy watch your review, and Boo, I hope you had a wonderful day so far. Smile.
You can't make sense of the story so far? My name Hood, you're not supposed to. They're basically just trying to hype people up for their game. So this is the first. Most people didn't know what the Blood of the Dawnwalker was. So this is an announcement. They are announcing to the world that they are making this game. And over the months, they will announce more. So you're not supposed to know a lot of it. It's the point. It's just so people know what it is. You know, usually when you're trying to sell somebody something or to show something that you're making to sell somebody something, it takes time for you to tell people what it's about, or you're working on it, maybe hear some feedback. I don't know. From what I gathered, from what we watched, they have been working on the game for the last 2 years. Usually games nowadays, they usually take from 4 to 5, sometimes 6 years to complete. There's a few exceptions that take more. So they are kind of like almost halfway of the project. This again is an outsider. It's an educated outsider's out view on this. I don't know. This is, I'm taking based on other games that I know about. So I would say the release of this game is probably at least 2 years away. Maybe more. Who knows? So they started showing information about the game now. There is no release date, obviously. Maybe in a few years. There is just the first show of the world about this game. Yeah. And again, to me, this first view, it seems really cool. Of course, I just really like when games give players a way to play with the narrative. It's one of my favorite things about Baldur's Gate, that your choices do matter. The way that you do things do matter. But I also love, however, when games, and I find that nowadays, games are lacking this quite a bit, that's giving players a choice in gameplay as well. And like, for example, in Baldur's Gate, we have a lot of choices when it comes to gameplay. That's why I could put that potion on the floor, and then I used something to hit the lever, and when the hammer came crashing down, it killed my character, broke the potion, killed the boss, but then the potion on the floor resurrected my character because my character licked the potion from the floor and got up. So I find that a lot of games nowadays are giving players some narrative choices. Sometimes that they're not very consequential though, but in this game it seems like the entire purpose of the game is to make that whatever you pick in the story is very consequential, which is cool. So in the order and the quest that you decide to do and not do seem to really matter, and I like that. But I also hope that there is some in a way that you can play around with your environment and with the things you can do in the game in combat. Because honestly, I'm kind of tired that a lot of games, especially action games, all you can do is attack, dodge, parry, block, and walk in the different directions. Basically, a lot of A lot of action games are just that. But if you can use other things and your magic and your powers to make other interesting plays that allow for creativity and different diverse thinking in the gameplay, that would be even more excellent.